We would like to see most of the human race killed off because it is unworthy. It is unworthy of the gift of life.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.
Until we hear the safe word, we will not stop.
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated? Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them. See all this and more when you see on stage, in person, that crazy mix-up.
I like being set apart from people. I like to be hated.
Safe Word with Jason Rouse.
How many podcasts have you done in the last 5 years?
Oh, in the last 5 years, I can't even, like, podcast episodes over...
Like 10 a year?
Like, if you, okay, like different podcasts? Because if you count, like, okay, different podcasts, probably like 5 a year.
5 a year, yeah.
But then I have my own podcast, a podcast that I do with my friend. You know what I mean? It's like, I'm always doing at least one episode a week of something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that wasn't the business model when we first got into doing comedy. And you've been doing comedy, you said like, what, 7, 8 years?
9 years.
9 years now?
9 years. So podcasts were just a thing. So I remember I was listening a lot to You Made It Weird when I first started, the Pete Holmes podcast.
Oh, okay.
But it was just like a thing. And then over time it became like, oh, that's the best way to get people out to your stand-up shows. If they listen to your podcast, they'll come out to shows.
Yeah.
It became a one-to-one thing at some point. And then now it's like, oh, well, now everyone has to have a podcast. It's very crazy.
Marin's podcast had just started when I moved to LA. And that was kind of my comedy Bible for Hollywood as far as past and present. And his position in his career at that time, you had this guy who had a wealth of experience and knowledge in his comedy career, yet he was in a garage with a microphone cursing the world.
Right.
I could relate to that because I was like, that guy's got a garage, lucky him.
Right.
So listening to, especially, you know, hearing Louis and Attell and various comedians that I really looked up to and liked, hearing their long form of their stories and their ideas were a little more, that became more of a friendship than the people I was meeting in the city at that time.
Really? Like you felt that bond with this podcast. That does happen a lot. People, and it is interesting, like, because I went on the road with Brendan Schaub, I've done the road with Bobby Lee, and people come up to them like...
Bobby Lee with the on the road.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah. But people come up to them like they're their friends.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like they like...
Well, Bobby reveals a lot.
Right.
A lot about himself.
Right.
Aggressively.
Yeah.
Things that you've never even had questions about.
You know everything about Bobby. He is an open book. But because of that, people will come up and they just forget that... Oh, it's not a two-way conversation because it's so good. Podcasts are so intimate and such a good way of like so good at making you feel that way that like it's really interesting to watch people come up to him and just be like, oh, this is not.
Oh yeah.
You guys are not friends.
Yeah, and because you're kind of people are get a chance to listen in on a conversation, they think that they're part of that world.
Yes.
And because they know they've got a chance to listen to what everybody was discussing that they have, but they'll show up years later and ask you or mention something that you had said flippantly on a podcast years earlier.
Yeah, people don't forget. It's wild. Because you say one thing that resonates with them, even if it's a throwaway for you, they'll remember it.
Have you been yelled at or had someone call you for something that you said?
Not yet. Because I'm not really big enough yet, but there is a wealth there's a wealth of stuff that I've said on podcasts that if I ever become big, it is going to be like there's no way I could work on SNL. That would never happen.
Yeah.
I've just said too much stuff.
Sure.
Like that sort of stuff. Like once I get to the point where people are combing through all the episodes, because you know how when you hit, everyone just the people who have nothing better to do just comb through everything you do.
Well, yeah, I've heard stories. Well, you know Giannis? He got a job at a morning show in Miami, and he had to give up his passwords to his social media so they could comb it and make sure that there was nothing in there that was going to come back and hurt the station.
Right.
So they had to go through every single tweet. He said they only found something that was askew, and it wasn't even that. He's not really, Giannis isn't really known for his hate crimes.
Right.
Unless it's against himself.
Yeah.
His Mr. Panos, I don't know if that's been any help to the Greek community.
But yeah, but there was some just because I say wild things.
You have
especially
to
on
though.
stage.
You hang out with wild people.
Yeah.
There's no room for pissing around.
No.
You would have been exiled years ago if you weren't. Look, this boat's sinking. Get in. That's what we're all saying.
yeah. Especially working at the store and now being in with the crew that I'm in here in Austin. It's like not that you're going out to say like, oh, I'm trying to be wild. It's just you have to be pushing some kind of thought, right? You got to be this is not a crew that necessarily would accept like safe thoughts.
No.
It's definitely boundary pushing, and what can you say? And like speaking, I don't know, not to wax
They're
philosophical
suspect,
about
those
comedy.
people anyway. They're like, well, what are you hiding?
Yeah, all the clean people. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, Cosby is the perfect example.
Clean people. Yeah, Cosby is the top of the food chain of the clean people.
Right, and
Deviant.
yeah, huge deviant. Although he is, his comedy is just is amazing, and he did, I guess, push those boundaries in those ways that made him great. But the fact that he put a line on "I'm only doing clean" makes you. It does make you look at people who just do clean like this is interesting.
And then calls Eddie Murphy.
And calls Eddie Murphy and tells him not to cuss. And it's like, oh, Cosby, is that what he should be worrying about?
Yeah.
Like out of all the bad things that are happening in your life, Eddie Murphy should stop cussing.
Anybody who was famous in the 50s has a lot of. There was no recordings.
Yeah, and you were a star. You were expected to get away with everything. That is something that like that doesn't come up in the conversation. Not to excuse what anyone has done or whatever, but it's like that was part of the allure of being a star, is that you had to just get away with everything.
Yeah, you could literally and have committed murders.
Yeah.
And crimes against humanity.
Well, they were talking about
that's the American dream, though, is to be able to kill somebody and then have an Oscar.
Yeah, and get away with
the documentary.
Right. I mean, they talk about like Errol Flynn, I think, the first Robin Hood, how he would just just bring in like 12-year-old girls to his dressing and stuff, like just wild stuff.
Yeah.
And so it's like that. It's just interesting about like, so if you came up in the 50s and 60s,
that wasn't the first time.
No.
There's been some other islands.
Yeah, for
and
sure.
worse.
For sure.
Probably dungeons. He at least took you to a spa.
yeah. This was like at least a vacation.
You end up fucking W.C. Fields' sex dungeon.
Yeah, dude. We just don't know what those old stars got up to, but it was definitely dark.
Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah.
I heard.
Really?
I don't know. I'm spreading rumors about dead celebrities, so none of this comes back to haunt me. So you're in La Jolla, you weren't living in La Jolla.
No, so I started comedy in San Diego. I went to UC San Diego, which is in La Jolla. So I was living in La Jolla.
Beautiful, by the way.
Oh, unbelievable.
Isn't it very white?
Yes.
Because I stayed at the condo there, and I was watching because the balcony faces the beach, and I was like, I think this is just kind of like old white people. But
yeah, kind of.
That's maybe just who goes to that beach, because I didn't really see too much.
I mean, San Diego is pretty. Like those areas of San Diego, like that's Pacific Beach, La Jolla, they are pretty white.
Yeah.
But they're definitely like, there's an Asian area of San Diego. There's like, obviously a lot of Mexican people. Best Mexican food in the world, obviously, I think.
I found
in America, anyways.
In San Diego?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we stopped twice. I think there's another one up here. I'm stuffed, but that was the most delicious $7 worth of food I've ever eaten in my life.
You get so much too. After leaving San Diego, I haven't found anyone who makes like a great burrito like that. I think San Diego's got the burrito game on lock.
It's so fresh. I'm drooling now.
Yeah.
I'm so drooling. I'm a fuck, man. I love a good, and that's another thing too, is like, I couldn't believe the quality of ingredients, how simple it was, how tasty it was. And then on top of it, it was like, it cost half of what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
The price is unbeatable.
It's that's, I mean, if you ever in San Diego, you got to go to like just those random, like they're all named some kind of like Roberto's or Rigoberto's or Umberto's or Alberto's. They're all toes.
Family setup shop.
Yes.
And that's, nothing's changed since 69.
Yes, since when it was built, it's just been, that's how it is. You got to, those are the places you got to go. And the food there is unbelievable.
I love good food, and especially LA. Did you ever go to Dave's Hot Chicken?
Yes.
Holy shit. Right?
Yeah.
It's because I enjoy the nuggets, and I smoked joint earlier. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay.
So I got a bit of the dancing munchies.
Okay.
And I followed Dave's Hot Chicken on Instagram, and they showed up with one of their. It's a good hot. Do you like hot and spicy?
I like, yeah. I can. Yeah, it's the brown in me. You gotta get a little hot in there.
Will your nose run? Are you a Scotch bonnet?
What's a Scotch bonnet?
You don't know what Scotch bonnet is?
No.
It's a pepper.
Okay, I don't know specific peppers really.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are your spices of choice as far as hot? Do you go more of a Frank's hot sauce, or something that makes you feel like you're gonna pass out and hallucinate?
I don't like. Yeah, I'm more of like a in those situations. I'm more like a Frank hot sauce guy. I like most habanero based hot stuff. I like the flavor of habanero. Habanero and Scotch bonnet. I think Scotch bonnet's a little hotter than the habanero.
Okay. But a habanero is goes a long way.
Right. Yes.
In the little shaker thing, which foolishly enough comes in the same size bottle as a Frank's hot sauce, but very different consistency.
No, and you definitely don't want to put as much habanero on something. No.
I love when you see like 2 thimbles more hit the plate, and then you got to take a knife and do surgery to remove that inferno off of your bacon.
Right, and it's just, oh god.
Yeah.
I do miss the food in the variety of food in LA. I think was greater than the move to Austin.
Like, where was your 5 regulars?
Okay, I mean, I was a big poke guy.
Poke on Sunset?
No, so I lived in North Hollywood, so there just everything just was around North Hollywood. Yeah. So there was like a poke place there. There was a Greek place there, Rodini Park. That was amazing.
Good gyro.
Yes. And then Thai. LA I think has the best Thai food.
Toy.
I didn't like Toy. Thai? No.
Yeah.
No, I would go. You got to go to those places that because Toy I felt like was for tourists a little bit.
The pad thai didn't cut it.
Yeah.
It didn't cut.
I like to go up on Sherman Way in the valley, Krau Thai, Krua. That was amazing. I go back there every time I go.
What's on the plate at your Thai dinner?
Oh, you gotta go.
Spring rolls?
No. So if I go to Krau, I think it's called Krau. When I go to Krau, I get the steamed mussels. Yeah, and then I get
confident move out of the steamed mussels.
Steamed mussels right away.
Okay.
Right away. Good. Also, steamed mussels, at least there, was a great date first dish, because it was like, okay, this guy's interesting. You know what I mean?
He's traveled.
Yes.
He's adventurous.
Yes.
And he'll put anything in his mouth.
Yeah. I think it's also like oysters. It's also like the thing. It gets the motion going.
Well, yeah. Somebody. Displays a tray of oysters. There's incentive there,
right? That
I want to eat you out.
Yeah.
I want to see your oyster.
Yeah, I got tongue skills.
Do you tie your hands behind your back and just slurp them out of the shell?
Yeah. Just make deep eye contact while I do it. Yeah, that's the move.
Waiter, can you dab my chin?
Yeah.
You put eyelashes on either other side of the shell.
Yeah. So they know
I'm
what
making
I'm about.
myself sick about you eating clams off a table.
It's a very just because the idea of my beard, like eating it like that with my beard, sounds horrifying.
And not to mention, I just picture her cutting into her food and hearing you just slurp from the plate, and then your face come up with a half an oyster in your mouth. And she's like, "I'm not letting you anywhere near it if you're gonna treat it like that."
Yeah, this is horrifying. This is the worst first date
The writing is on the wall.
Yeah.
This guy's gonna mess up my pussy with heavy slurps.
Yeah. But yeah, I do. That's probably my favorite place to go. But and then you know what I liked? LA for Austin has bad donut game.
Oh, Master Donut across the street here is okay, but I know where you're going.
Voodoo Donuts overrated. One of the most overrated donuts
only
ever.
because the cost, the flavor, and the attempt is there.
The attempt is there, but it's like you've tourist attracted donuts.
Yeah,
it's overrated. And LA has those donut shops, especially in the valley.
With the Korean lady in the back.
Yeah, with it's always some not even Korean, because it's like a Thai or Laotian or like Vietnamese, like just some Southeast Asian person with like 30 things on the menu. It's all cash. It's clearly a front for some kind of mob. Clearly a front for some kind of mob. They make the best donuts.
Yeah,
the best donuts, because they all cost like 75 cents, and they're not buying enough to pay rent. So it's clearly like they're just laundering money through this business.
It hasn't been remodeled. There's a lot of that places that never been remodeled. Those are the places that are laundering money.
Yeah.
We don't mean to blow up all your donut spots, but we know your game.
Yeah, I mean, we get it. There's always my favorite donut spot when I used to live in Sherman Oaks. There was always these just clearly Armenian gangsters, like whatever Armenian version of Sopranos they were living.
Yeah. The coffee's not that good for you guys to be there all the time.
All the time. No. The donuts are good, but they never make enough to last throughout the day. But the place is open 24 hours.
Clean.
Yes.
They're tidy.
Yeah, it's like, oh, you just know. And I'm not mad at it, because they make great stuff. They make great stuff.
Yeah.
And there's just nothing near that in Austin. It's insane. The donut game here is bad.
Pizza game's okay.
Pizza game is good. What they have here is that they have the Detroit style pizza in abundance here. The Via 313.
Is this a thinner crust pizza?
No, Detroit style is like halfway between thin crust and deep dish.
Okay.
That's the way I would describe it. It's like in the middle, and it's so good. I think it's my favorite style of pizza. Like when I go out for pizza now, if I have a choice, like if I'm downtown, I'll just get a slice, right?
Moda Pizza in Silver or Echo Park. Mm-hmm. Do you ever go there?
No.
You have to order it 6 hours ahead. It takes over 5 hours to bake.
Because it's
this deep, like lasagna, and the box is
like heavy.
Bowing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is the craziest pizza.
That's crazy. I'm not about that. I don't like deep dish, but the Detroit style,
it's cake
I fuck
pizza
with.
when you got deep dish.
Right. It's just, what is this? Why are you doing this to me?
It's a lot. Hey, look at Mel's drive-in on Sunset you can't beat it. Mm-hmm. Are you over it?
Yeah,
you've eaten there too much.
Mel's I didn't like. I will say that's another thing I miss. Austin doesn't have diners. No 24-hour diners here. That sucks.
Yeah,
that sucks. That actually sucks. Because to a comedian, a diner is such an integral part of the experience. It really is.
That would be a smart move to somebody open up a mid-sized, like a what was it? Swingers. Like
Swingers, yeah.
Yeah, that was
like
really
downtown, good. Like especially next to when Rogan Club's open. When if someone opens a diner there, that's where the comics would go. Because it's for whatever reason. I mean, in San Diego, we always went to diners. In LA, we went to diners. If you read "I'm Dying Up Here" or any classic book about stand-up comedy about where comics hang out, it's always a diner. There's something about diners and comedy that just go in hand.
Most definitely, and clearly Seinfeld.
Right, Seinfeld
seeing
diner.
The quality in that.
Yeah, they were always at a diner. So it's like there's something about, I don't know what it is.
It's another green room for the weirders people.
Yeah, it's also a place where they can hang out and not get bothered. They can hang out there for a while. Yeah. It's not a restaurant. There's no pressure to
one's actually
leave.
eating at the table, but there's a lot of shit being thrown around.
Right, yeah. And then you just keep getting coffees to elongate your stay. You can... Diners, there's no pressure to leave. There's no...
Until the waitress comes over and goes, "You guys got to stop screaming and yelling. People are trying to eat apple pie in here. They're hungover, and you guys are the loudest people in the restaurant.
So many times they'll be like, "Oh, we've taken over this restaurant." It's just crazy.
What's the hotel immediately? I should know this by now because I've stood in front of it so many times. That white hotel next
the
to
Andaz.
next to the store. Yeah,
the Andaz.
I saw a guy. You know how that the driveway kind of curves, and the side, the exit farthest away from the store. I saw a guy sitting on that white ledge, getting head.
Really?
Getting sucked off on a Friday night,
Good for
a
him.
crowded street.
Good for him.
And this beautiful young lady, confident woman,
Right.
blowing this guy.
Yeah. What a good person.
Who gets sucked off on the street? No one pointed.
Yeah, I've seen that in Austin. Someone like I was walking past Vulcan and they had their car door open and they were clearly getting sucked off like just on 6th Street. I was like, good for them. Good for
Who's them? There was more than 2 guys were getting blown by.
Well, good for the guy and the girl in that situation,
okay.
right?
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like that's a level of confidence that I don't think I'd have.
Well, you've probably seen enough people shit outdoors in LA.
Right.
I've seen a lot of it come out. I've actually followed homeless people for hours waiting for them to have a crap be in between parked cars.
Really? Just because you wanted to see it?
I just wanted, because I had heard so much about it. A lot of my friends bragged, and I wanted to experience it myself.
So you followed like National Geographic? You're trying to follow.
I tagged his ear and released him back in the wild. I took a sample.
Yeah.
And then off he went up into the hills.
Damn.
No, I enjoyed the experience that I had in Hollywood at the time. But this is nice too.
Austin is way more relaxed.
Yeah.
Way more relaxed.
Yeah, as long as you're not out at a show with 100 open micers talking through the whole thing in the back.
Right.
There's a lot of open micers here.
Yeah, it is weird. There is there's like a very small, like what I would like to call in LA. There's so many, or in like any big scene. New York would fit this too, and probably even Chicago. There's a big middle class. There's a big, like, I would say, I would consider myself middle class, where I'm not an open micer anymore, but I'm not a headliner.
There's zero middle class.
There's like 5 of us. It's insane.
Yeah.
So it's all like these big headliners and all these open micers.
5 millionaires.
Yeah.
Maybe 10.
Yeah.
500 open micers, and me and you.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's but there's
And
really
I'll throw in maybe 4 other guys. I'll throw in a Dylan Sullivan.
Derek.
Yeah, a couple other people.
But if you were to talk about the amount of people,
I'm the one without roommate.
Yes, you are.
I'm at the least shitty end of the dog shit stick.
I would say, because it's like, we came from a place like, there's so many comics in Los Angeles that have been doing it for 10 years, around 10 years, and aren't headliners. And then that's the sort of level, like, hey, you're trying
Some
to
very
figure it
good
out.
ones.
Yes,
You have to be relatively
to make it 10 years and you know, to still be in the game 10 years, not headlining and still doing it, you have to be good, you know? And in Austin, there's like 3 of us. Like even Dylan, who I'd put in the middle class category.
Only because you guys are store graduates.
Store guys, but he hasn't been doing it 10 years yet.
Ribbon. Yeah, you gotta. You went to university, one of the Ivy League schools in comedy, so there's a diploma that comes along with that.
Right. I did 4 years there. I looked at it as, my mom at the time was like, do you want to go to grad school? And I was like, no, I'm getting my PhD in comedy.
Yeah.
That's how I looked at it. And
Totally.
it really was.
Yeah.
It was really just some next level stuff to just watch all that. But in Austin, like I said, like we were talking about earlier, most comics have been doing it for 3 years or under, and 2 of those years were during the pandemic. So it's like, it's just interesting to see like what they don't know. Like, you can just tell they have this airiness about, not airiness, but this happiness about them.
How many of them would they survive on the road with Bobby Lee? 1?
Yeah, I mean, some of them are. Bobby's a very nice guy.
Nicer.
So, yeah.
Oh, Bobby's a great guy.
Yeah,
this is not an attack of Bobby. Bobby runs a tight ship.
Right.
And he has expectations.
Right.
I'm using him as an example of a professional comedian.
Yeah,
who's done some shit.
They have some. They expect things
They'd
of
be
you.
crying.
Yeah.
Bobby would make them sadder.
Yeah, you do have to deal with
by the truth.
Yeah, next level. You have to deal with real deal honesty coming at you. He said.
Did you ever Did you tour with Pauly?
No, I never did. I wanted to. Pauly would make a lot of them cry.
Yeah.
It's like, because they're just so young and they just don't know you're getting a call.
It's Nassar.
Oh wow,
Should I block him?
That's crazy. Oh, you're answering it? Hey, what's up?
Hey, this is gonna sound like I'm hanging up.
Okay, I'll listen.
That's the funniest thing he's ever done. I've never seen him do well on stage, ever. He gets some sweet spots around town and bombs every time. Josh shit the bed, Nassar. Wow.
Well, thanks for calling, Josh. But yeah, as far as like it's just, I don't think a lot of them realize that, like, because a lot of them are having fun and they're with their friends, and I think a lot of them realize
summer camp.
Yeah, how long this game is, and like for those of them that are going to continue to do it, they will. There's a lot of people they see now that they're never going to see in 5 years, and I think some of them will also be surprised as to who they're not going to see. I know so many comics that I thought were unbelievable and like, oh, this guy has something, and they just quit.
Yeah.
Guys with jokes, guys who were further along than me in San Diego, guys who were picked. I can think of a couple guys in San Diego who were picked by like the crew of just like, oh, you guys are going to be the guys.
If you were a talent agent, you go, this guy checks all. This is all
checked all the boxes.
You're off.
And then he
good luck.
And then that guy just quits.
Yeah, and then
he nothing bad happened to him. Nothing. He just was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah. Sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes the reality of what's involved in this is so much more traumatizing than bombing.
Yes.
This is
a marathon, and this is a long marathon. I think about this one because a lot of comics wanted like to do the Louis C.K. method of like a special a year, right? If
you have that luxury of that skill set,
right? But also, what people don't realize about that was Louis was 40 when he started doing that.
Yeah, and he'd been doing comedy for at least 20 years.
For like 20 years.
Yeah,
so
before that.
That's the level it took to get to where he was at that time. You know what I mean? Like, that's because you think of comics as, oh, Louis, he just sort of showed up in 2008, dropped a special a year.
Overnight success is 10 years.
Yeah.
Well, I'm 25 now, so I'm waiting for my check.
Right. It's just keep, if you believe in yourself, I think the idea is
I haven't had a day job in 20 years.
That's the goal.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah.
I've had quite an adventure, and I continue to do things that put me in those great positions.
Right.
So those people, what we were discussing earlier, that are going to have a rude awakening, they don't even know position.
No, because
they're just spinning through space.
Yeah. Well,
and bumping into things.
There's no hierarchy in the scene yet. So because it's so brand new.
Yeah.
But once that Rogan Club opens, it's going to shake the scene up. Also,
it's
just
gonna look like a school shooting.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. A lot of comics, the two of us, we moved here because we're investing early. Me personally, I visited Austin and I was like, oh, this shit is crazy. Like, if this is just an untapped gold mine right now. But a lot of comics are going to come when the club is open and they realize that there's people mining gold, and then that's going to be a whole separate thing when comics all of a sudden, like 30 comics 10 years in, are coming in 2 months at a time. You know what I mean? It's going to get insane.
Yeah, because there's so much on the bottom.
Right.
They're going to feel some pressure.
And then that is going to create some diamonds, though.
Yes.
That is going to create some diamonds, but that also is going to squeeze people out. The pressure is going to do both those things. They're going to create diamonds and squeeze people out.
I think the first year that Joe opens his club, they'll probably lose 40% within the first 12 months
of the open mic scene. Yeah, but they'll just be replaced by the open micers. But you're talking about the current open mic scene. Yeah, 40% will quit.
Yeah.
I think that's within a year. I think that's fair.
Yeah,
that might be a little low even, but I think that's fair.
Yeah. No, they're going to be polarized. And you've seen like how many great comedians come through the store to know, oh, this is the best comedians in the entire planet have come through here over the last 4 years.
Yes.
And now you guys are trying to figure out yourselves. What do you're a solar system away from achieving any of this.
Right.
I can't wait to see the crying. I'm very excited about the broken tears.
Well, here's what's going to be interesting to see when there'll be a group of friends where one or two of them,
A group of friends.
Yeah,
In comedy.
yeah. There'll be a friend group, right? And one or two of them will get into Rogan like a job as a door guy,
yeah.
and one or two won't, and that's gonna cause an interesting dynamic because. When you're a door guy at a place like that, I can tell you as a story, you have the key thing about being a door guy at such an important place, especially in comedy, is you have to say no to your friends. And the ones that your true friends will get it.
Oh, yeah.
And the ones that won't, you'll be like, oh, we weren't as close as we thought we were.
And not to mention, you'll start to hear the shit talk behind your back. Will always come back around.
Yeah.
And you're like, dude, like, I'm trying to keep my job.
Right.
Why? Just so you and two of your friends can stand against the wall. I might get fired from show business.
Right. Yeah.
Like, you've seen people fired at the store.
Oh, there's so many things too that like
Crazy people.
Yeah, I've had to be like, no, I'm not letting you do this. I know you want to, but I'm not trying to get fired from this place.
Yeah.
It gets people mad. One comic punched me in the face.
You got punched?
Yeah, I got punched. It was he didn't get a full connect.
Yeah.
But he definitely
attacked
punched me.
you.
Yeah, and because I was just like, and it was I was just like,
Hey man, I can't fucking help you here.
Yeah, I can't let you go back. And I even told him he wanted to go, basically,
sacred ground.
He wanted to go sacred ground, right? And I told him the manager had just come up to me and been like, don't let anyone back there. So I literally told him, I was like, hey dude, because it's the store. It's also like, who gives a shit a lot of that?
And you don't have to hey dude him.
Yeah.
You were being cordial.
I was like, hey man, this is what I'm telling you. Just come back in a half an hour and I'll let you go back. And he couldn't deal with that.
No, and you know what? If he waited a half hour, he'd be having a drink with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, he would be back there because I wouldn't have cared. I would just be like, bro, the manager just told me, so just relax for 30 minutes and then come back and I got you. That was literally the night. I could have just been like, no. But I was like, I was trying to be pro-comic. You try to do the most, especially when you're a comic working there, you try to do the most comic-friendly things that you can within your power.
And the store is probably a little more loosey-goosey than the other clubs.
Yes.
Like you can, there's some gray areas that you can work within, and as long as you do your job, you can have some gray.
Yes, absolutely. There's a lot of gray areas in the store that you can exploit. You can exploit the gray areas if you're a door guy.
Like the handicapped restroom with the cocaine line.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things. I mean,
Have you seen people fucking in the bathroom?
No. I will say this. When I got there, because of how popular it was getting, they ran a little bit tighter of a ship.
Yeah. Ari was getting blowjobs on stage, and then somebody gets shot, and there was no more blowjobs.
No, I never like walked in on anyone fucking at the store. There were there would be people who would fuck at the store.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be as much as you heard it was happening in the last.
Yeah.
In the previous years. There's a little bit tighter of a ship.
Yeah.
Because it was getting so popular and so because every night was sold out. So the ship needed to be tightened a little bit. You can't have everyone running around, because let's say Rogan was there, right? You had to have somebody be at the back door when Rogan's hanging on the lot, because if you didn't, crazy people would literally run up to him more than anyone else.
I would corner him in the kitchen and say something stupid.
Yes. So it's like you can't be off trying to fuck if that's happening.
Not on a busy night.
No, not on a busy night. So
Sunday at 1 a.m. you might be able to jerk off on something.
Yeah. Sunday at 1 a.m. you'll be fun, but it's definitely more of a tightening of the ship.
Unless Chappelle shows up at 11.
Well, then they started locking doors too.
Yeah.
You forget, so all those places that people used to go
and sleep.
Yeah, used to be. Then they shut those off. So that was a whole nother thing.
They did tighten it up. As that wall started to come down in the back, the store became a more conservative place. But that was once we saw the House of Blues disappear. You watched it come and go, didn't you?
When I got there,
as a whole.
When I got there, they were still doing shows, and then all of a sudden they shut down.
It was a roast battle. Was the last show?
Roast battle was the last show.
Yeah.
Yes, I was working patio when roast battle was filming there, and it shut down. And then they shut it. Then they tore it down, and then you had the beautiful view of.
Yeah, it was crazy.
LA. It was nice
for a while, a couple of years.
Oh, it was. I remember working 4th of July.
Yes.
At the store, and you would just see all the fireworks. Yeah, it would just be fireworks and then boobs walking by. It was the greatest. I just remember that was a great night.
It was probably the first time in, I don't know what was in that space before, but as you know, that area that building took up a lot of ground.
Yes.
Behind off of the boulevard there. So there was probably that store, the comedy store, Suros, had been there since the 50s. I wonder what was adjacent to the store in the 50s, because I wonder if that's the first time in 100 years that you could see from there across.
It must have been.
Yeah.
It must have been. Yeah,
It was cool.
When you see LA like in the 50s and you just see like how easy it was to move around and how like it's just such LA was there's so many drastic changes in that city. That city changes drastically.
Hey, look at across the street now. It's a
big
flat screen video.
Yeah, have you seen it?
Yeah.
It's insane. It's actually not bad looking.
Well, yeah, it looks like a Genius bar.
Yes.
But what is it? Stores? Condos?
It's like private condos and a hotel. It's both those things.
Yeah.
It has like some floors are condos, some floors are hotel, I believe.
Yeah, it's full of whores.
Yeah.
It's hookers for the strip.
Well, you see, I mean, there's so many videos that you'll see people posting of just people you can just see them fucking in the window. And it's that's interesting.
I think Earl Skakel had posted a video.
I've seen Earl. I've seen Steve Fury post videos, and it's like, okay, that's interesting.
And that's literally 4 stories up, 20 feet from the front door of the comedy store.
You can just watch
people fuck.
You can just watch them.
I think people come to Hollywood to fuck in the window.
Yeah,
sense of rebellion.
You're doing that for an audience. It's not like you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like you're gonna look up and be shocked. That is a choice that you've made to be like, well, I want these people to watch me.
I want to do it in the window, but with my back to the audience. So they got to see the worst part of my life coming at them.
Yeah, well, they just so you can play that game of, ooh, I don't see you, but you know what you're doing. Everyone who does that knows what they're doing.
The sound of my balls backing up into the window.
Yeah, I hear that.
Is that a woodpecker? No, it's chicken skin on a window. Well, when was the last time you were back in Hollywood? You go back like once a year?
No, I go back like once every 4 or 5 months, just to like.
You fly or drive?
I fly.
Yeah.
Just to be like, hey, I'm still here.
Yeah.
You know, you wanna show them like I'm still.
Yeah, you know.
You guys still show face and all. It's it's like any sort of work. It's politics. There are politics involved, and you go around, you shake the hands, you kiss the babies, you make sure they're like, hey, I'm still a political candidate or whatever.
Of course, I'm in the running.
Yes, I'm in the running, and so I went.
Please
back.
elect me for a Netflix special.
Yes, please. Make Netflix great again. That's my slogan.
You had something air.
I was on. Not really.
A couple years ago, was it a Netflix thing?
No. So they used.
You had stand up.
Yes, they used one of my jokes on the Store documentary.
Ah.
Yes, they used.
Which was great.
Yeah, which was great, and it really was. The way they set it up in the narrative and the story was really good, because it was before I went up. It was. Adam Egget, the booker at the time, who's now going to be the booker at Rogan, he was talking about how the Potluck is a place where you see the next up-and-coming generation of comics, and you could see some really great young comics, and then it was me. Yeah. So the way the setup for me was amazing.
Yeah, you were like the golden boy in that time, in that moment.
Yeah.
The way the narrative went.
Yeah, the way that Showtime.
You were in a bread line of 60 other guys.
And they had picked me out.
Yeah.
They actually filmed. I know I got picked because they used none of my stuff. That's the only thing they used of me for the documentary, but they really liked me, and they filmed me specifically at least 6-7 times. So I knew.
Well, you, because of your lack of alcohol and substance abuse, you were the only one who could string a sentence together. So by default, they're like, we need somebody that can talk comedy that doesn't have a slurred speech and a lazy eye.
Yeah. I mean, I don't. Maybe that's part of it, but I do think. Yeah. For whatever reason, what happened was I was working in the Monday lot, and the parking lot on a Monday. And they had...
Which is not a job that anybody wants.
No, but it's the best job.
You're parking jets.
Yes. You're parking... Well, so I worked at parking lot for...
Russell Peters.
4 years. Oh, yeah.
Well, remember that Tiffany and Russell that night? Mm-hmm. And all those...
Well, we called them... If you worked a lot at the comedy store, we call them $1 million lots, where you have, in this confined space, you're like, oh, there's $1 million worth of cars here. I can't fuck any of them up, and I'm just a 24-year-old comic. It was a crazy...
With 6 roommates.
Yeah. At the time, I had 17 roommates.
What?
Yeah, I lived in a house with 17 people, so 16
Jesus
roommates.
Christ.
And I'm parking Russell Peters' yellow Lamborghini SUV.
I remember that.
Yeah. So it's like, it's a wild just life, really.
And they laugh too, because they know how stressful that is, and they throw the keys in your face. But you always get a decent tip out of these guys. Most of them tip.
From the big guys. Big guys give a good tip always.
Yeah.
Always.
But is it
Rogan
worth
was the most
tip
generous for sure.
to get in a vehicle that you know? Because you're playing Tetris. People don't understand. The
Yes.
parking lot's this big, and you've literally are stacking cars.
Yes, it's Tetris.
And people want to leave at certain times. Their girlfriends are there. They're patient.
Yeah.
People are like, where's... We need to get out of here.
I gotta get to another spot.
Yeah.
Like it's there's so many things going on. It is incredibly stressful, but it's the most rewarding. Everyone who's big knows who you are if you work the parking lot at the store.
Yeah, you get a name.
Not even if they don't know. Like for whatever reason, I didn't work that many nights when Whitney came in, because Whitney didn't come in a lot at the time, right? But whenever she did, I would park her car, right? We never had like a lot of conversations. She's a busy woman, right? When she came to Austin, she ran into me at the show. We've never talked. But she saw me and instantly recognized me and was happy to see me. You know,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean? Like, these big comics who might not even know your name will recognize your face.
Well, there's a due that you paid in that environment, and they know how difficult that.
They know
dues
you're
are
a
paid.
comic
Yeah.
who's
You've been anointed. You've been anointed. We'll see what unfolds in the future, but
Right.
what is the plan for the next year?
The next year, I did my first like headlining weekend ever recently.
All right.
Yeah.
In Texas?
In Texas.
Cool.
Yeah. And so I know now that I can do an hour, which
Yeah.
is like of just material, which is nice. Which is nice to when you finally first do that for the first time. You know, it adds a little bit of like hair on your chest.
Sure,
you know?
it does.
Yeah.
You feel like you've been swimming underwater for so long that you just got your nose up to get a breath, and you're like, okay, we can dive again.
Yes, we can. I can do the number one thing you need as a stand-up comedian in the long run is the ability to do an hour, right? You got to be able to do hours, and I can do that officially. You know, like I always thought I could, but now I know I can, and that's a whole different, beast. So that right now is just to keep working on my act. I don't really like release anything. I'm not a big content guy.
Yeah.
But I trust in my process. It got me this far already.
Yeah.
So I just have, I have a podcast that I do called The Dangerous Brown Podcast. Check it out. I'm doing this series on YouTube called Stand Up Breakdown. I've done an episode of it and it's for young
What's
comics.
the podcast called that you're doing?
Dangerous Brown Podcast.
Dangerous Brown Podcast.
Yeah.
Is it hosted with another brown guy?
It's just me.
Just you?
It's just me.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just me ranting. Because you know what it is. I saw a bunch of people have solo podcasts, and I was like, that looks hard as hell. I don't know if I can do that. Let me force myself to do it.
Yeah, some people that start off with co-hosts have since separated into.
Right.
I think Tim Dillon's got the business model with that.
Right.
The Ed McMahon that works the laptop.
Right.
Who chimes in with his opinions and his information, but Tim is the engine.
Yes. That's a good thing. That's a good business model to base a business model off of. And once it gets a little more poppin', I do want to have like a producer like that who can chime in every once in a while. But I'm doing this series for young comics and people who are interested in comedy called Stand Up Breakdown, where I just break down the bare bones of stand up to them. And it's really fun. The first episode is out now. It's about a Steve Harvey video I break down, and I talk about act outs and how much goes into actually like planning like where you are on stage and where you like people don't. There's stuff that young comics and people who don't know comedy don't really think about.
No, it's theater.
It's theater, and then there's blocking involved for some bits, right?
And I learned that when I was dying in a script writing program I was in, but I used the television, this Final Draft,
right.
And I started adding in action, character, and dialogue. So voices and physicality that I was doing, I was mapping out in the material. So when I visited those things along the journey, they were very defined.
Yes.
And very strategically placed.
Yes. Like, Steve will see in the video I break down, Steve will do this thing where this character, when he's in this character, he's only in this part of the stage. When he's a separate character, he's in this part of the stage. And when he's a third character, he's on this part of the stage. And he moves so seamlessly, but I've gotten a good feedback from a lot of young comics being like, oh, I never even thought of that. And it's like, that's very important.
I've been doing this with Jared. because he up until I met him, he was the holding on for dear life. Now he's working the stage like Eddie Murphy.
Right, where you walk around.
Yeah,
that's a
the
big
tone.
thing.
He got in the whisper and so on and so forth. But yeah, and the showing some vulnerability.
Right.
When you get a chance, and which will endear you more for what he's doing. I don't do any smiling.
Yeah.
It's more wet noises. I can't look at their faces. A lot of my stand-up, my eyes are closed.
Oh, really?
Because I don't want them to bother me.
I'm trying to get better at like making eye contact when I'm up there, because sometimes you'll make eye contact and you'll be like, oh, this is a like, I can go off what their reaction to this.
I think people have a hard time maybe to make eye contact with you because they realize that they're dumb when they're talking to you. You have a sense of like you've clearly fleshed out all the topic. And well, the retarded thing, I don't want to blow it up.
Yeah,
but,
okay.
But it's a long study,
Right.
in it.
Right.
So there's a seminar and a punchline, and they're like, "Oh, we just thought we were being enlightened."
Right.
And it's funny too. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there is also, it gives like I won't, obviously I won't say the bit, but the whole premise of the bit is, when is it okay to say retarded? And so they think that
When Jared's on after you, what a follow up!
It always helps. Yeah, what a follow. Yeah, it always sets them up well, I feel. Yeah, but it is like, I go at it from this angle where it's like, where I'm not gonna let you get mad until I'm done with my thought. Like, let me explain my thought to you. And I'm pretty good at explaining my logic at this point. Like, I'm very logic based. So it's like, let me bring you down step by step the logic that I'm breaking down.
I really feel like you're holding my hand while you're on stage talking.
That's the goal, because it's like, I realized I had to do that early on. I would have these thoughts, and then they wouldn't go from A to T with me, and I was like, oh, I gotta explain B, C,
come
D.
on, come up the stairs. It's safe.
Yeah. Like, let me lead you. But that's a huge thing, because when you first get on stage, a lot of times you just think that they think like you. And it's like, oh, no, I think like me, and I have to explain every single little step along the way. Yeah.
And there's you can play in that, because sometimes you can because you're leading them downstairs, you can lead them away from the
stairs
door.
For a bit. Yeah. Just be like, oh, look at this door that you didn't know was here, and now come back.
And look at a curtain and continue down the stairs.
Right.
You've been busy over the last week. Have you been doing stuff? Because it's South by Southwest. I get a lot of mixed reviews.
Yeah.
It's a zoo downtown.
Yeah, I finagled my way on shows. I don't really go. I went the first night to check South by out. Yeah. And it was fun, but it felt like just 6th Street, but like a little bit different. You know what I mean? Just 6th Street, but a little more controlled.
Yeah, it's like downtown LA and West Hollywood Halloween.
Yes.
Have come together.
Yes. There was, I went the first night to get a bunch of free stuff, and I didn't really get that much free stuff. I got this energy drink called C4.
Oh, I've seen that.
Dude.
Is it jacked up?
Oh, first of all, I was up for so long after I drank it, and it tasted like candy. I never had energy drink
like Jolly Ranchers.
Yes, that tasted great, and I was like, that is the scariest thing. I'm never going to touch that again.
It's always in a huge can.
Yeah, never again. Never again.
How many grams of sugar?
I don't know. I didn't drink the whole thing. Yeah, dude. Like 3 days worth of sugar for sure.
300 milligrams of caffeine.
Yeah, dude. It was so much. I don't recommend it for anyone out there.
Does heart disease run in your family?
No.
No heart attacks?
No.
Huh.
No, not really. No. Thank God. Diabetes does, though. So now I'm trying to eat less because I have a big sweet tooth. I definitely try to have less sugar than I normally do.
Spinach.
Yeah, I'm getting older.
The iron deficiency creates a thirst for sweets. Juicing a bunch of spinach or eating a broccoli will curve the sweetness.
Oh, really?
Yeah, totally.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
I'm literally gonna go buy some spinach.
Yeah,
On the
totally.
way out.
And you just shoot it. You know what I mean? If you're inclined to eat a big spinach salad, but sometimes just juicing a head of spinach and drinking it will level you out a little bit.
Oh, that's really good to know.
Because you're talking to a guy who just had ice cream before you got here, like
Right.
a pint of it with gummy worms. And as soon as I quit drinking, I got a sweet tooth. And the donut place across the street.
Which I'm definitely gonna try. Actually,
You gotta try.
I gotta try it because I'm a big donut guy.
Open at 6, closes at 2.
Oh, okay.
And they sell out usually around noon.
Okay.
On average, but it's pretty good. And I think they have 2 locations. I think the second location has actually a better donuts because I do follow them on Instagram.
Yeah.
And the shit that I want is never there. Oh, excellent breakfast sandwiches too.
Okay.
Croissants and like biscuits and bacon and eggs and cheese, and they have those kolaches.
Oh, the kolaches.
Yeah, the
those-
kolaches.
that's a Texas thing. I really enjoy those.
What is that? A hot dog and a croissant?
It's like meat in It's like meat in like pastry bread.
Yeah.
That's the best way to describe it. It's just this meat and pastry bread. It's really good.
I've seen that more in European bakeries than I did in a Texas thing. I don't know.
I've never seen it. I've never seen it in California.
No.
No, it's definitely like it feels like just a Texas thing. Maybe it's a Southern thing, but it feels like a Texas thing.
Yeah. No, there's I've had very few bad meals in this city.
Yes.
But we do need a diner here. Whoever's listening, open a diner across from Joe's Club and you will be rich.
Yeah, the food is good, the options are narrow.
Yeah.
That's how I would say it. The food is good, the options are narrow.
Yeah.
So it's not like you're gonna move here and it's gonna be bad and you're like, oh, I can't find. No, you're gonna find a lot of places to eat, but you have to adjust your parameters if you come from like a LA or New York.
Jared and I or spending as much time as we have in Toronto. We love a good roti, jerk chicken, rice and peas, plantain. We found that there's this Tommy's Jamaican food truck here. It seems like the only West Indian food.
Is it good?
I don't know. We haven't been yet.
Yeah, because Jared was talking about Jamaican food in Toronto.
We've been talking about Jamaican food.
I heard him talk about that.
It's so good.
Yeah, they don't really have that here. No, but that's because it's not in the parameters.
Yeah.
It's not barbecue. It's not
I'm
pizza.
licking my lips again.
Yeah.
I don't know. I could eat like the whole jerk chicken and a handful of rice and peas, a whole plantain with the curry gravy on the top, and then sometimes the rice has, I don't know what spice it is, but sometimes the stick is still in the rice.
Oh.
Do you know what that is?
No.
I don't know what it is either.
Everything you're describing sounds amazing.
Yeah, it smells great, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And you open up the container.
That's the best kind of food.
And a little dab of Scotch bonnet just to remind you that you're alive.
Yeah.
I love it. But no, we're going to go eat ice cream and donuts.
Yeah.
Until we puke.
Right.
What day is it today?
Today's Thursday.
So no Secret Show tonight.
No, because Secret Show was last night. It is South by has been
The music's supposed to start tonight.
Yes.
Is what I was told.
Yes. So I am going to be avoiding downtown like the plague.
Yeah.
For the rest of the thing, because it's like, I mean, I would like to go see the music. I just don't want to be downtown. I just don't want to be downtown.
No,
that's not who I am.
You got spoiled at the store.
Yes.
You were on Sunset Boulevard for a number of years to see the best of the worst.
Right.
They can't just have the worst of the worst.
Yeah. I'm just like, because of, I've been lucky that a lot of my nights I spent at the Comedy Store, and now I'm downtown for a lot of shows, Vulcan and Creek. When I have those nights off, I don't want to go to those places. I don't want to go to a crowded
How old are you,
place.
31?
I'm 29.
29.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you're getting to that point where...
I've always been an old soul. Even in my early 20s. But so, like, when I have the nights off, I just don't want to do it.
Are you telling me you have less and less patience for people's bullshit?
I've always had little patience for people's bullshit. You know what's funny? I've always thought that I was going to be, like, my peak was never going to be my 20s. I thought that when I was, like a teenager, I was like, oh, my peak is going to be, like, 30s, early 40s.
Yeah.
I've always felt that way about myself.
Probably 51.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that as a peak.
Which is good, because a peak is in the middle of the event, which
Right.
means you're getting another 50 years out of it. So
Yeah.
100 is cool.
Yeah, I've always wanted the later peak. I didn't need the peak at 22, 23, 24, 25. I didn't need that.
Because you're optimistic and you see a future in the world and in yourself.
I see a future in myself more than I see a future in the world, but I definitely
Yeah.
see a future in myself.
I think if you guys think of a future in yourself, you do inherently add a future to the world.
Yes, that's a fair point.
Wow, that was pretty heavy. I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, I think so too. I had a lot of fun.
Where can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Ehsan, EHSAN, Ahmad, AHMAD.
Ehsan Ahmad, everybody.
Yeah, and check out the Dangerous Brown podcast and Stand Up Breakdown. Those are my two shows.
And shows now that you're a resident here in Austin, Texas.
Every Thursday, pretty much.
It'll be me, you, and 10 other comics that suck
Out of
on
Death
the
Squad.
shows.
Yeah.
No, Death Squad's pretty consistent.
Death Squad's pretty great.
But the rest of these events can be tiresome. But we're gonna change all that, right?
Given time, dude. Austin is going to be
Lit.
Yeah, it's going to be the third A city. Like,
Yeah.
if you want to be a stand-up in 10 years, if you want to be a stand-up to make it, you can go to LA, New York, or Austin.
Yeah.
And I truly believe that.
I completely believe that. I've looked around the globe, and this seems the best place to drink the water.
Yes.
There's
And it's
water
untapped.
here.
It's untapped water.
Yeah. It's those what was the gold rush?
Yeah, that's what I literally think of it like that. It's like we were the first people to pan the gold, and eventually, like that's gonna yield dividends for us because we were the first ones here. Tony Hitchcliffe said this to me when I first moved here. He said, investing in Austin now is like investing in Bitcoin 10 years ago.
The Bitcoin thing was in the back of my head as you were talking, most definitely. And what a great place to invest. The people here are fantastic.
Yes.
We really like you.
Yes.
We're
Yes, they
sorry
love-
that
they
we
love
came
comedy.
from California.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, lived in LA. You're from California, but not
California
Los
through and through.
Angeles.
No, not Los Angeles.
He's not an LA guy. Everyone relax.
Yeah.
We're on the good side of show business. I'm not. I'm playing the worst side for the good side.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. And there's going to be some dates, tour dates, starting in as of early as August to November in Canada, and then October's Scandinavia.
Oh,
so
damn.
we'll see you then. Denmark, last 2 weeks of October, and then there's going to be probably Norway and Sweden and maybe Finland before that.
That's
And
wild.
We'll see what happens.
We would like to see most of the human race killed off because it is unworthy. It is unworthy of the gift of life.
I don't care what society thinks. They're nothing anyway. They're no better than me.
Until we hear the safe word, we will not stop.
Have you ever thought what it would be like to see a person's head amputated? Think of things so horrible that the human mind cannot imagine them. See all this and more when you see on stage, in person, that crazy mix-up.
I like being set apart from people. I like to be hated.